everybody. So this is so exciting. This is the Hallmarkies podcast, and we are here for our second episode of Chesapeake Chats. We're talking all things Chesapeake Shores. We are here to talk about the second episode of season 3, The Way We Were, it's called. And I'm Rachel, and we have Lisa is here to talk about it.
Hi. Hello.
And Kaycee is here.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us to talk about this episode. So let's dive in. We all really liked the premiere. What did you think of this episode, Lisa? Overall,
it was kind of slow. Slower than the first one. I think I was just really excited to see everybody back. This one was kind of like, okay, it's a little bit of a transition. Like, let's start building the foundation to what's going to come up next. But I enjoyed it. I still had fun.
Kaycee, what did you think?
Yeah, it did seem a little slower this time, but I noticed there are a lot of hidden messages, it seemed like to me. So I feel like this is the foundation for the craziness that's about to ensue, that I'm predicting is gonna ensue.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I thought this episode was kind of odd. Like I it's fine. Like, it's probably just a filler episode and it all kind of makes sense. But I thought particularly where they went with Mick's character was surprising and didn't quite make sense to me. And I don't know, just some of the drama I just thought it was just a strange episode to me. So anyway, we will dive into it and talk about it. So the first thing I had to die laughing is how they managed to make Vancouver Island, Connecticut, and Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I used to live in Connecticut. Actually, I think that little town that I grew up near there, and I was like, this is not.
Yeah, because I live there now. Like, I'm here currently, and I'm like, what part of Connecticut is this? Granted, I haven't seen every part of Connecticut, but I'm like, okay.
Well, and I guess it would have been fine if it didn't look exactly the same as everything else in the whole show. It was so funny to me. It looked exactly, and then when they just literally all they do is just put a typeface with a drop shadow that Baltimore, and it looked like Baltimore, which just made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious. But anyway, so we find out that Mick has gotten the boat, and he's super chill in this episode. I don't know. I thought it was just sort of strange. We're going to talk about what's going on with his character as far as Connor goes, but he's just working on the boat and happy as a clam to work on this boat. As I was writing down, I was like, men and their projects.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So
I thought, what's his name? O'Malley was gonna pop out of the boat or something.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity.
And
that would have been awesome.
I was really looking forward to something climactic with this boat, and all of a sudden it was just oh, we got a boat, inherited a boat.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess we just dive into this because it's just sort of scattered throughout the episode. But so Thomas comes up to him and says, so you're going to honor the original agreement? And he's like, yeah, it took some talking to Douglas, but he came around. And it's then where's this? There's no conflict. What is Connor upset about? There's no conflict. His dad literally solved all the problems, and he's just mad because he embarrassed him for 5 seconds. I don't understand.
Right.
Go ahead.
I thought this was going to be a huge conflict throughout the course of the thing, but he literally, there is no conflict.
Yeah. Well, what made me laugh is when Thomas says to Mick, so you want to talk about the trust?
Yeah.
And the other one says, no, not really. And I was like, yeah, neither do the rest of us.
Right.
So, I hear you guys. I see what you did there, writers. See what you did there.
Yeah, that was really funny. I wrote that down too. You're I don't know. Like, and we had just said, oh, well, the trust is finally getting interesting, but I don't know. I just thought that was such a weird choice because it's like there's supposed to be conflict, and you just literally took out all the conflict.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was,
Well, we're done.
I was like, what? Like, what is Connor upset about? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to set it up for like a larger, you know, kind of issue with them, and maybe show how their relationship changes and grows as Connor gets established in his profession. But yeah, it was just kind of gone, and then we get like a throwaway line of, so I guess Connor's staying with Jess. Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
That was it. And I was like,
Like,
well, we learned more about the boat than we do about the mysterious boat with some random letter that says remember the good things in life, which I'm like what?
remember the good things.
Toilet paper? Like, what are we talking about here? What's good? What's happening here? But okay.
Remember the good things in life by spending hours working on some boat.
And ignoring the rest of your family. Remember the good things in life.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it was so weird. And I don't know, it's just as a writing choice, I just can't figure it out. Like, I've been thinking, I even watched it a second time. I'm like, why did they do that? Like, I don't get it.
I mean, so it was very obvious a lot of us did not like the land trust thing, and they obviously heard that through social media. And I know people, specifically like the Hardys, make a big stink about when plot lines and people go down a black hole. So I wonder if this was kind of like, okay, we already opened this can of worms. Let's tie it up really fast and shove it under the carpet. Like, maybe that's why they did it the way they did. It's just so that they can appease the fans and then move on and hope that we'll all forget about the land trust and that it ever happened.
It just makes Connor's behavior nonsensical.
Right.
Like
Right.
What is he upset about? Like, I don't understand.
His pride.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, come on. Woo. So anyway, they like, and honestly, if Thomas is okay with this, like, then Connor should be too. And Thomas is saying to him, like, oh, you got to sit down and have clear the air with Connor. And I just don't understand what there is to clear. If, like, literally he made everything fine. Right. There's no difference. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just pride, I guess, is the only thing. But it seems like such a weak conflict when you had, like, so that just makes Connor look super petty, as opposed to, like, maybe some actual conflict that they could have had. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But
or some growth, like, hey, my first job out of college and I screwed up, and it is what it is, and I'm gonna keep going. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and he's kind of thinking, I think Mick's thinking, like, okay, good. He moved out. Way to go. Way to go, Connor.
Like, one down, 500 more to go out of my house.
Like, Mick, I felt like they were kind of trying to paint him as, like, an antagonist sort of, but everything he did was, like, I thought, smart. And, like, good job, Mick. You're like using, you're smart. Like, good job. Right. Like, you're making sense. So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation.
And if anybody were to get mad, it should be Thomas.
Right.
Like, it should be Thomas, but he was so cool with his brother for the most part. At least with the trust, he was kind of like, well, it was what it is.
But even he couldn't really get mad because literally everything's been worked out.
Right.
So what's there to be mad about? I don't know. I'm so confused. It's so odd to me. But anyway, and so, yeah, that was strange. And we'll talk a little bit more about the other sort of conflict that Mick was in this episode. But both of them, I was just like, okay, he's making a lot of sense here, people. Like, listen to Mick. He's smart. So, okay, we have this other conflict that starts with Donovan and Trace. And Donovan says, I've got this gig, and it's it's going to take Trace 48 hours to go and play in this gig, with this big star, Donovan. And I don't understand, like, this is why this episode was frustrating for me, I guess, because I was like, Trace is being nonsensical. Like, of course you should take the gig. Like, it's literally 48 hours. Like, what?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
But you know what would happen if he would have done it? It would have been like, Trace, you're only here for 3 weeks, and now I have to sacrifice 2 days for your music, and then it would have been a long, drawn-out thing. And I mean, I would have been like, it's my job. This is how I get money.
But I feel like
Okay.
Abby has been pretty supportive. Like, I mean, she had a few moments or whatever, but like, I feel like she'd be fine. And if it's just 48 hours, like, have Nell watch the girls and have Abby come with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
Right?
sense to
that
me.
could have worked.
I mean, I don't understand. The conflict in this episode was just very confusing for me. And so then you also have Trace and Abby going through his old stuff that he got from his dad, right? I guess. Anyway, they're going through, and I had no idea. Has this been mentioned that he wanted to be a baseball player? What?
No.
Because
I-
like,
Okay.
yeah, that was strange. So like, there's like these little league things, and then his dad says at a certain point, "I really thought you were gonna make it." I'm like, what? I didn't know this was an element of Trace.
Right. That was also weird for his dad, because his dad was always very hard on him and very like business minded, kind of like Mick.
Yeah.
And they were so at each other in season 1 and 2. And then all of a sudden, dad has a heart attack and they're all besties now, talking about how son should have been, some
Baseball
famous
player?
baseball player. I don't
It's very confusing. And never forget that Trace's dad did the vile thing of offering to co-sign on a loan.
know.
Let me give you a bunch of money. No,
Rude.
terrible. How dare you?
So Abby finds this letter that she had written, and I was a little confused about the timeline. So things were getting very serious between her and Wes and her ex-husband. And this is when she was in New York, and I guess Trace had gone up to New York to like see her, but then he decided not to because she was like happy with Wes or whatever. So she had written this letter to him expressing her feelings to Trace. And then like a couple days later, Wes proposes, and then they end up getting married. And she finds the letter, and Trace had never opened the letter. What did you think about this?
That it was a boring storyline. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just my dislike of, no, I shouldn't say dislike. I do like Traby. I do. But just that I think that they have too much manufactured drama, and it was a letter. I wrote in my notes in all caps, it's a letter.
Yeah.
And she's holding it. Like in every room, she's carrying it with her and looking at it and being upset over it. I'm like, it's a letter that you wrote like when you were super young, and who knows what it says, but get over it. And all it comes down to is one conversation you have. Hey, I found this letter. Did you know I sent it to you and I expressed all these feelings? And he would have been like, oh, I didn't want to open it because I was still hurt. Oh, cool. Well, let's move on. Great. What do you want for lunch?
Which is what Trace does. Like Trace is the sensical one in this episode.
Which was amazing, and I loved it. I was like, yes, burn it. Let's get over it.
Like, he's not sensical for not going on the gig, but as far as his interaction with Abby, he actually just is like, well, we just need to throw it away because it's not doing any good. Like, what could possibly do any good about like opening and reading that letter?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have just read it.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's me. I would have been like, oh, we're gonna read what we wrote here, and then we are gonna decide what I'm gonna do with this letter. Yeah, but back to the timeline. I think Trace actually flew up to New York and was going to talk to Abby, but then saw Abby and Wes, and then decided not to, because she found out later that he went up to visit her, but then she never saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that was in the
okay.
first season, right?
That was in season
When
1.
she's
Yeah,
like,
where they talk
well,
about
why
it.
didn't you ever come after me? He's like, how did you know I didn't? And she's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Right.
She finds out that. So I think, yeah, I think you're right. That,
So that was a fun one there. But so I agree with y'all that storyline, the letter was really weird. The whole going through the high school, wear my Letterman jacket. I was like, please don't wear the Letterman jacket. Please don't wear it. And when she said, I feel ridiculous, I was like, okay, good. They're not painting this like, oh, it's so brings back all these warm memories. Because
and just, am I the only one that thought that Letterman's jacket looked like ginormous? Like,
yes.
I mean, I was like, there's no way that was Jesse Metcalf's in high school.
No
way.
But
yeah, it was just, and she's supposed to be like, everyone thinks like, we'll talk about channeling Abby, but she's supposed to be like the calm, collected one, and yet they're presenting her as like being somebody who can't handle him going on a 48-hour gig and like freaking out about this letter. Like, that's really, I don't know, it's just weird. It was just such a weird episode.
I kind of wonder if that storyline, so there was another little hidden nugget I noticed that Trace said, and he said, it's time for us to let go of the past. And like this whole episode, which we'll talk about the other characters later, there's been a lot of hints of that, which I feel like it's building up, and the writers are like throwing little hints at us, like something big's about to happen. Let go of the past, because Mick also says it to somebody.
Well, I mean, that makes sense because both Barbara and Andrew Francis, Barbara Niven and Andrew Francis, said in their interviews that they both mentioned that there would be conflict from the past, kind of dread stuff. So not very surprising, but I don't know, for this episode, it just kind of made people felt sort of nonsensical, and it was just strange. It was very strange. But I did love the scene with, I really loved the scene where it's at the house and people are just kind of coming in and out and in and out. Nell needs a camera with megapixels. And, Kevin's eating Abby's lunch, and she's like, and I think Bree's like, don't you have a house? Like that, all that whole scene I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like that show, is the family. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
I also like when Bree said to Kevin, do you have a home? Because you know how we were always like, do they all live in the O'Brien house? Yeah. Like, are they grown and living at home? And I thought that was funny. Nod to the writers again. I like their little Easter eggs everywhere this episode.
That's true.
I liked when Kevin came and found the letter, and then later she was like, I don't know what to. He's like, I wish I'd never seen it. And I was like, I'm with you, Kevin. I'm with you. Yeah. And he's like, I wish I'd never seen you holding that letter, because oh my God, stop talking about it. And I was like,
yeah, for sure.
Kevin and I are, yes, soulmates in this episode. Yes.
Yeah. He was somebody who was making sense, at least. So, all right. So Jess, do you think she's like overreacting to this whole, like, in general, did you think she overreacted in this episode a lot? Especially to the book thing? No, not so much, you don't think?
I don't know. I think I'm not sure yet, because we keep getting little snippets of the book. We don't even know what the book really is. And Bree herself doesn't want to admit to anybody what the book really is. She keeps like walking around it. So it's like, are we going to get the big revelation eventually that she's like, yes, it's actually you, or it's actually me, or it's actually all of us put together? She's kind of hinting at that. But if I were Jess and I thought of somebody wrote about private stuff with me, I am a professional grudge holder, and I'd be like, you're dead to me. So I'd probably be a little bit like Jess. And I don't know if I really like when the way they got around talking to each other this episode. I thought that was funny, but I don't know. I might feel like Jess. I might.
Yeah. Interesting.
Be pretty upset for a while.
Well, and it's interesting because I don't know, just the whole Connor drama, like Connor's role in this episode was really strange. Like, I guess he doesn't have. Does he ever go into work anymore? Because he seemed to just like be there for everyone to like talk to, or whatever. And
home. Well, we'll just say he works from home.
Okay. And I don't know. It was so funny because Mick's like, oh, he's finding his own place, and you expect this to be like some form of conflict, and he's like, Mick's like, good for him, it's great, it was time. Like, okay. And and then Connor with Jess, and Jess is like, you're really terrible, and he's like, what? And he's like, I was sniffling.
Oh yeah.
You're like, what? Was she giving like? I mean, this is quite an expectation for a brother to have to understand sniffling signals, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's like, I thought you had allergies. Which is always funny.
And then he does somehow recognize that, oh, are you channeling Abby? Like, I've never even like seen Abby as like this particularly like meditative, contemplative person. Like, this was really funny that he caught on to that, I think.
Yeah.
Channeling Abby.
That made me laugh every time she did that, like whole
yeah.
gonna go into my inner Abby.
Yeah, funny. It's really funny. So anyway, so Jess is just like freaking out and having all these problems. And then so Bree, she is going to see her play, and it's called Meditations from the Second Floor. So does this play to you guys sound good or absolutely terrible? What do you think, Lisa?
Terrible in the best way. I love movies within movies where you try and figure out what the heck they're about.
Yeah.
And she's on that stage crushing that flower, and I was like, I need more of whatever this is because it looks awesome.
And what did you think, Kaycee, of the play?
I was like, what the heck is this? What? I'm so confused right now.
It did look like the class. It kind of reminded me of on How I Met Your Mother, when they have Lily is in a terrible play, and so Barney makes her go to his terrible play.
Oh, yeah.
He just like says moist, moist, moist over and over again, which is like Lily's least favorite word. It kind of reminded me of that because they were like all in black and like, it's like, oh my gosh. And you see her and she's like crushing the rose. And evidently it's all, according to Simon, it's a metaphor of how our pasts haunt our present.
That's another Easter egg.
Yeah, more past. Kaycee, you're onto something.
Yes, for sure. So Bree is talking with Kevin about the book, and Kevin tells her you need to draw a line in the sand and not make the same mistake twice. So I guess Kevin thinks it was a mistake for her to write the book. Is that what he was saying? No?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Kevin's very helpful when it comes to the book. Because again, I think we're just not getting enough of what the heck it's about. We keep dancing around it. And I'm so confused when it comes to the book. I'm like, whose side should I be on here? Because I don't really get what it's about.
Right.
Yeah, is it about Bree or is it about Jess, or is it just sort of, and she says, well, you're supposed to write what you know.
Which Kevin told her, wasn't it? Kevin told her, write what you know?
Yeah.
And now he's like, well, don't make the same mistake twice. But you told me to write what I know. I followed your advice.
But you're supposed to put a line in the sand? And I guess the line in the sand is not talking about the family. But he literally told her to talk about the family. It's very confusing. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, this play, I don't think is going to be a big hit, at least. No. But that lady who worked for the play, the producer or whatever, she was very excited about it.
Yeah. She was super into it.
Yeah. So, all right. This is when, and it was so convoluted. Like, why on earth would Bree need a ride up to the play? Like, I assume she has a vehicle. They had to have Kevin drop her off at the play so that he could be there to see Danielle coming out of the restaurant with this guy, and they're chatting it up, and then she cheek kisses him, and he's like very concerned about this. And I mean, knowing what I know about Hallmark movies, I just assume this guy is her brother. We don't know, right?
A relative. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way every mistakenly eavesdropped or overheard conversation is usually some kind of relative.
Right.
Yeah.
But And I didn't know that like Connor and Danielle were like official, right?
We kind of glazed over that.
Yeah. Like, I thought they were just like a fling. Like, hey, you're my study buddy that, you're cute. You're cute. Hey, let's kiss. Okay. You're so cute. Let's go out on a couple dates. Like, I didn't think that they're officially like boyfriend, girlfriend.
I mean, I think we've only seen them go on one date, maybe last season.
They ran into each other, and then she kissed him. Oh, they ran into each other at the little cafe, and she kissed him in front of his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
And then before that, when they were taking the bar or after or something like that, they were kind of making out a little bit there.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I had no idea that was like girlfriend boyfriend situation. Yeah. And like under no I feel like, of course you would tell your sibling if you saw their whatever relationship, like cheek kissing another guy outside of, whatever, like, right? Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of course, right?
And I would not expect my sibling to be like, well, how dare you interfere in my life? I'd be like, okay, well, I'll ask about it. Thanks. Right. I appreciate you looking out for me.
Right.
Yeah. Like you just say, oh, I'm sure there is another reason. Thanks for giving me the heads up, whatever. Like, I would expect Connor to do the same thing if he saw Sarah cheek kissing
and he would be worse about it. He'd be like, dude, I totally saw her making out with somebody. He'd just not even like try and beat around the bush. He'd be like, you're totally getting played.
And Kevin forgets to say about the cheek kiss, which is the most damning part. If she was just like walking out of a restaurant, that could just be like a business meeting or whatever. But you don't cheek kiss people at a business meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So
also, what Connor is like, Mick or Dad, you should have told me everything. You should have been there for me. And then he's like, yo, bro, no. I'm really mad that you told me about this and you're lying and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit. But it's basically like, dude, either you want everybody to tell you everything or you don't want everybody to tell you anything.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's so weird too, because they have this whole like dinner where they're all like swapping stories about like how ridiculous they were as kids, like playing tricks on each other and things. And Danielle has no such story. And it's like, I'm confused as writers what they were they're just trying to show that she's somehow like cold and aloof or something because she doesn't have like what were they trying to do? And then she says, oh, I've just been so busy. And that's to Kevin is like, oh boy, she's a liar. She's a liar.
Yeah.
And like, I just feel like you have to eat dinner. So like you could be busy, very, very busy and still go to dinner.
Right.
Like the cheek kiss is the main problem here, but I don't understand why that was like a big like, whoa, red flags.
Well, I think it's the fact that she said, so Kevin saw Danielle kiss the guy on the cheek, right? From our angle, like we couldn't tell, like it could have been romantic, it could have been a brotherly thing. But when she said that she didn't really have a relationship with her brother, she wouldn't be kissing her brother.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Deduction in Kevin's mind, he would probably think, okay, if she doesn't have a relationship with her brother, she wouldn't be kissing him. Therefore, this guy that I saw was not her brother.
That's fair. That's good logic. You called it. Also, like, what was Megan and Mick doing in allowing Connor's poor mind to be warped? That he went to kindergarten and thinking the alphabet was like completely.
They weren't paying attention, apparently.
They needed like some serious intervention. This like went to the point where he was literally going to school thinking that P was after L. You're like, oh my gosh, that was hilarious to me. So, all right, then this episode was kind of all over the place. Jess says that Connor is a good listener, but his advice is terrible. And I was a little bit like, what? How was his advice terrible?
I didn't know he gave her advice. And if he did, what did he give her advice for? I don't know what she.
I was confused. Like, I think he was just saying, like, calm down and, like, wait for David. I don't even know what his terrible advice was. But anyway, terrible advice. And and then Abby, basically, I thought it was a cute moment between Abby and Jess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was cute. And Abby says,
Yes.
maybe being strong is not actually who I am, which was actually kind of a cute moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cute.
That was cute.
So then, yeah, that's when we had so you want to talk about the land trust, and Thomas says, so you need to sit down and clear the air with Connor, which is just so confusing. And then we get introduced to Thomas's wife. I mean, she had been in past episodes, I guess, right? No?
I didn't even know he had a wife,
I can't remember.
to be honest with you, which disappoints me because Thomas, what's his name in real life? Gregory Harrison?
I think you're right, yeah.
He's
So
a
this
silver fox, and I like seeing him on my screen, and I was like, wait, you're married? No, this doesn't work for me.
But this marriage is very confusing. And once again, I do not think Nick was so off track here. So basically what's happened with this marriage is they like basically separated like 13 years ago. Is that right? And she lived in Arizona?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. They were married for 30 years. Apparently, Mick and Megan had not seen her in 13 years. She lives in Arizona and works as a doctor,
Yeah. She'd gotten a
clinical opener person.
15 doctors. 15 doctors at the clinic. And so now they are decided that they're going to try to have a relationship again, which is like, what? So they didn't get divorced after 13 years of literally them like never seeing her ever in town. Like, it's not like it was like a marriage where, you know, like my grandparents, they had a house, and my grandpa had one side of the house and my grandma had the other side of the house, and that, you know, and he was gone a lot, whatever, they made it work. And it's not like it was something like that. This is literally 13 years. What? I think that is so weird. Like, right? That's so weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I feel like we've seen her before, and I'm trying to think if I've just seen her in my mind in different Hallmark movies, or if I've actually seen her on Chesapeake Shores.
Well, Tara Rothery has been in tons of Hallmark movies, so that's true. And she was in Cedar Cove, so I didn't watch that.
I'll have to. I'm really curious to know if we've actually seen her on Chesapeake Shores.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have either. But I don't know. It's like, so he says, well, so you're renewing your vows, but they're still planning on living apart, but they're like going to make it work. I don't. It was very confusing, very strange relationship, and so they're going to Bali. They're going to renew their vows.
They love each other.
They love each other, but like, again, if it was like, I don't know, they'd somehow reached a certain relationship, but this is literally somebody who has not seen Megan or Mick in 13 years. Like, so there's been no relationship at all, but they, I guess, technically are still married.
Well, Megan said she visited her.
Oh, that's right.
The year before, so they've obviously kept their relationship, which is interesting considering they're both at odds with their husbands, who are brothers, and they're besties.
It was so weird. And so, yeah, anyway, they're going to Bali and renewing their vows, and Mick is like, what are you doing? What is going on here? And then Thomas gets super offended that he's like not supporting her, and Robin has a whole conversation with Megan about like, why are you here? What's going on? Are you interested in Mick?
Yeah, that's what we all want to know.
I'm like, well, I appreciated that somebody actually said to Megan, like, why did you come back? because we never really had anybody say that. And it was what I asked Barbara Niven in our interview. I said, why did she come back? And, she said, oh, it's just about the kids. It has nothing to do with Mick. Do you buy that?
I feel like they're trying to set us up for maybe even if they don't end up together, that will they or won't they? And I think I think it might be interesting. I especially after being apart for this long and kind of going through so many life changes, I think it might be interesting. But I honestly, I remember listening to you guys, like the preview episode, and you guys were kind of laying out what you guys thought or wanted for the characters this season. And I remember thinking, one of the things that I thought would be interesting, it would be if Megan found a relationship before Mick, because I think that Mick is used to getting a lot of what he wants, like just making it happen and always getting the results that he wants. And I think it would be interesting if he saw her on the island with another dude trying to make a relationship. I think that might pull in an extra interesting dynamic. And so I'm wondering how they're setting this up for some sort of will they or won't they, but to what end, and how deep is that going to go? That's what I feel like.
Yeah. I don't think that Megan intended to go back because of Mick. I really do think she went back because of the kids.
Right.
I also think that she and Mick, they obviously had a decent relationship, because when she came back, or he called her and told her, Nell is sick, come back. So they obviously had a good working relationship, for lack of better words. So I think, I really don't think that she came back for him. I can't tell if her feelings are being rekindled because she's there. I don't think they're fully there, but I don't know if she's thinking like what could have been had she stayed, or what could have been had he not been such a workaholic, or if she's seeing him in a different light because now they have grandchildren, and apparently grandkids change everything. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was very interesting, and I feel like they're setting us up for a giant bomb drop or something, like why Megan really left. I think that's definitely coming, and I think that's going to be the big conflict.
Yeah, I think so too, because I don't see this conflict between Thomas and Mick going anywhere. At the end, they were like drinking beers together, hanging out on the boat. So I think that's basically
bros. Like, I'm mad at you. All right, we're cool now. I'm mad at you again. Like, all right, what up?
Mick should be a life coach. Like, he seems to help to solve major conflicts, just being like, yeah, hey, it's all good.
Right. And I just looked up Terrell. Yeah. So according to our bestie Ruth Hill, shout out to Ruth, when she did her interview, this was her first season on Chesapeake Shores. So we had not seen her before.
Okay.
See, I'm like, I don't remember them ever bringing up a wife with Thomas, but maybe I just didn't pay attention that well. And I just rewatched the series in anticipation of season 3, and I'm like, did I totally miss that? But
yeah,
quite possible.
So I did love the scene with Bree, Jess, and Connor when Jess goes up to Connor and says, I need to talk to you about boys. That was so funny. And I loved the way that it was sort of, it was Bree who said that. Bree says, I need to talk to you about boys. And and I loved the way they framed it, because you had Jess in the foreground and you saw her response. And then in the background, it was very clever how they had a shot. You had them having their conversation. And so I thought that Lacey did a really good job as an actress, like making her responses really fun. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that whole scene. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. I did too. It was my favorite of the episode.
Yeah. And basically, like, they're all talking and Connor's giving like all this advice or whatever. And Jess says, look, you need to just accidentally text him and say it was for someone else, and then apologize when he texts you back. Because this is all advice about Simon. When he texts you back, text him again as if you're super excited to hear from him, and then turn off your phone and wait 1 hour and see what happens.
That's too much work.
So like, whoa. Do you think this was good advice, Lisa?
You know what? I don't know if the advice, because I'm too old to play those games anymore. I would just be like, listen. But the way she just turned around was just like so irritating. She's like, listen, text it. And just the way she spelled it all out, and she turns back around. I don't know. It just cracked me up. And personally, I couldn't wait an hour. I'd just stare at my phone and be like, text me back. Text me back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite the solution to this problem. But anyway, so yeah, that's when we get to see Trace's dad back, and there's the whole scene with the collecting carts, and he says, "Oh, I really thought you were gonna make it." And I'm like, "What?" That was weird, and I'm not sure what that's the point of that scene was, but anyway, and then yeah, and then we get the scenes with what was up with Nell with the cutout of the mayor? What was going on there? I was a little confused.
I don't know, but I want that cutout.
Yeah.
I'm like, when y'all are done with it, could you send it to me? Because that'd be fun.
So, because they were trying to earn funds for the fountain, right?
Yeah.
I don't get how they're making money. Side note, they keep showing dollars and then they give over coins. So are they just giving dollars and getting 4 quarters? How does that make money?
I don't know. Well, it's like I thought, are people paying to have their picture taken with the cutout?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And like, who would do that? Like, what? And then I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to shame the mayor. Because she says this whole thing about politicians need to follow the will of the people. So that made me think, oh, well, they're just trying to shame the mayor, make him look stupid so that he agrees to save the fountain. Right?
I don't know. I thought she said something like to get the attention or something like that. To me, it seemed very Stars Hollow-ish.
It did.
Sitting down there trying to get people's quarters to save this fountain that's very special to Nell for whatever reason.
And like, if Trace is as famous as they made him seem in the last episode, then like him manning the booth, like that should get tons of money, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, that was confusing.
Or he can do a benefit concert.
Yeah.
Save the fountain benefit concert.
Yeah.
How much does it take to save a fountain? Like, what do we think ballpark? Because from what I see, they have like several properties all around Chesapeake Shores and an airplane, a private airplane, and now a giant yacht. And everybody can run their own businesses. And I'm like, how much does it cost to save a fountain?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, that could be worked out in the land trust somehow. I don't understand. I'm very confused by this episode. But anyway, that was just hilarious. I was like, I don't understand this cutout. But yeah, I guess they were trying to like shame the mayor. And this is totally random. But so we got Simon totally back in this episode. But is it just me, or does Simon look like a taller version of Connor?
Yes.
Right? Okay, good.
Yes. When he walked in and Connor goes, "Cheerio," I was like, why do they look alike?
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Man, I'm never going to unsee that now. And I'm going to watch the show and be like, oh, there it is. English Connor. Bye.
Right? Okay, good. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who sees that. So, okay. So, I still, it baffles me how Bree can be mad at Simon. Like, I put on Twitter, I said, like, she's mad at him for literally getting her book published, and I put it in caps, and the actor who plays Simon, he responded, he was like, I know, right? I'm like, yes. What? And so, and like, Bree is super judgy about Simon, and basically, like, he wants her, she doesn't respect his series, young adult books that he's done, which whatever. And so he's like, he's going to be writing Dublin's Last Sunset, which the only way that that's a good book is if it's about Dylan O'Malley.
the last time he was on a yacht and he gave it to Mick, and I don't know.
Yeah. And somehow his soul morphed into the fountain.
The last sunset is him and Nell. Their last goodbye. Like, that would be a great book.
Right.
But I bet that Bree wouldn't respect that book. Maybe that would be the line in the sand that Kevin's talking about. I don't know. But and he just says, "Thanks to you, I will be broke, homeless, but artistically satisfied." And I don't know. Is Bree a snob?
A little bit.
Yeah, pretty much. Right? Okay, good. We all agree. Comes in and says that she wants to do a purging ceremony where she sets all of, like, I guess David's stuff on fire. So that was interesting.
That was weird.
That was really weird. Like I said, this episode was very strange to me. I'm like secret pyromaniac.
Right
here. I mean, I guess they do spend a lot of time by that fire. So
that's true. I don't know. That was just weird because what? I can understand that if you woke up. I can understand that if you hate his guts. But she's literally pining over David.
And it has literally been 2 days.
Yeah.
It's not like it's been 2 weeks or a month.
Right.
It's been 2 days. Like, this is like Lifetime movie territory we're having into here. Like, her behavior. Like, 2 days.
Right. She gets a letter FedEx to her from him.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, he was out of service. And I'm like, so he didn't have a way to get a phone, but he knew how to get a FedEx dude to get you a letter? I don't understand what is happening here. Like,
it made no sense. Like
he doesn't know how to call collect.
Was he trying to be like romantic or something? Like, to send her a
I mean,
letter?
I honestly, when she got it, I thought, oh, it's gonna say turn around and he's gonna be right there. I was like waiting for him to like pop out of the doorway.
Yeah.
She just like yelps and scares all of her customers and takes off. And I'm like, so now no one's at the B&B, and who knows what those people are gonna do while they're having dinner or brunch or whatever it is. And she just takes off and starts yelling at people that they're going to wherever he is. And I'm just like, wait a minute, I have questions. How did if he didn't have access to a phone, how did he have access to send a FedEx letter?
It's
whatever.
So weird. Like, I don't understand like that behavior at all. Like, I mean, we're past the need of like sending letters in our society. Like, I get it if it's some kind of romantic gesture, but like when she's like, sir needs a lot, like, you text her back. Like, what? I don't know. It's very weird.
Right.
Or when you get back to the phone. Yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say she took a cab. She took a cab
She
from
did.
the B&B to the bookstore. And I was under the impression that Chesapeake Shores is very walkable because nobody
they have that little go-kart thing.
Well, yeah, they have a little golf cart.
Maybe Kevin is the only one that has a vehicle. Like, he needs to take Bree everywhere and she needs a cab. I don't know what's going on. Very confusing. But Trace burns the letter. He sings. Did you like Trace's song at all, or not so much? No. I liked it fine. It was
I like his songs. I like Trace's singing personally. Yeah. I would go to his concert.
Yeah. Me too. But yeah, Connor gets his own apartment, which is long overdue, and he calls Danielle, and I feel like we were supposed to pick up something because she's just like too busy or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't really understand the point of that scene either. So is he starting to see what Kevin said, or is he more convinced that Danielle's on his side?
I think he doubt her.
Yeah.
He started doubting her. Okay. That's what I thought, but it was confusing. So I don't know. That conflict is weird. And so Jess gets the letter, super excited, jumping up and down like a crazy person. And and so then the other thing that drove me crazy is that not only did she get this letter, but she forces a near kiss between Simon and Bree because they are just about to kiss and she is like screaming. And that near kiss looked almost like painful. Like, it was so like, What? And Amy and I did a whole episode yesterday on our favorite Hallmark kisses because I'm so tired of the near kiss. And this was a very dramatic one. And what's so funny to me about the near kiss is that like once the interruption is done, they never like go back to kissing. Ever.
Right. No.
Right? It's just
They're
like,
like-
oh, the moment's gone.
Right.
Like, I probably would still kiss the person that I was
like,
planning on kissing 10 seconds ago.
have you ever actually, I'm like, have anybody that's written these scenes ever actually kissed somebody? Because you're pretty into the moment. And you're just like, oh, a car just beat by.
Yeah.
I'm back. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, and it was just such a like, oh, I like, calm down. Just kiss already. I don't know. It was hilarious to me. But and then so Jess wants Bree to go to Maine with her, even though she hates Bree. But she's just like, well, I need you for this.
And Bree's not
That's funny.
invited.
Yeah. What?
Like, let's go there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that David's super excited about having Bree along for the ride. Like, what?
Oh, the girl that kind of had a crush on me and kind of made us break up and did all that, but then really kind of stopped liking me. Yeah, let's invite her to our big reunion. That was fun. That was awesome.
Very strange. And yeah, and so then your final scene is Thomas and Mick drinking beer on the boat. And they're made up. So I don't know. This episode was just really strange to me. Like, I just don't understand what the writers are thinking. Maybe it will all make sense in the next episode, and then we'll see sort of where things are going. But it just felt like a lot of conflict that could have been conflict was resolved in weird ways, and then new conflict was set up that was strange conflict.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't get what's going on.
You nailed it. All the conflict that could have been juicy was resolved with like a statement, and all the stuff that they pursued could have been handled with a simple conversation. Like they tied up the juicy conflict with. It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
We will see what happens next week, but I don't know. Yeah, so we will see. But anyway, thanks so much for coming on and talking about this interesting episode. I guess we the way we were, I guess, is another hint of like talking about dredging past.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, it was a weird one. So Lisa, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Girl Gone Hallmark.
Great. And Kaycee?
I'm on Twitter, and you can find me at Hallmark My Words. Great.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. So make sure to check that out, and make sure you're following us on the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod on Instagram and Twitter and all over social media. And make sure you put in your reviews for the podcast on iTunes because it helps people find us more quickly. And hopefully everybody enjoyed our interview with Andrew Francis that posted this week. Super fun. And that was really a delight for me to do. And then we had, like I said, our podcast with me and Amy talking about the best Hallmark kisses. And on Friday, we have a special bonus where I got to sit down and talk with Jill Wagner about her upcoming movie, which was super exciting. So that's a lot of fun. And so it's just a very exciting week for us here on the podcast. And so let us know what you think about this episode and put in the comments section or on Twitter. Let us know. And thanks so much, you guys, for coming and talking about this episode. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.